A key driver in India's hospitality revolution, Michael Dominic, along with his brothers, has played a pivotal role in shaping CGH Earth into a beacon of responsible tourism and wellness. After graduating in commerce from Sacred Heart College, Thevara, Michael pursued a post-graduation diploma in hotel management from Indian Institute of Hotel Management and Catering, Mumbai. His professional journey began with the Taj Mahal Hotel, Mumbai, before joining his family business in 1991. His leadership has been instrumental in establishing CGF Earth's iconic properties. Notably, he spearheaded the group's expansion into Kerala with Spice Village in Thekadi, building on the success of his pioneering venture, Bangaram Island Resort in Lakshadweep. He oversaw the group's expansion as finance director, managing operations and finance. Currently, as the Chief Executive Officer of CGH Earth, Michael steers the brand's vision fostering sustainable tourism practices, cultural preservation, and exceptional hospitality experiences. Beyond his professional accomplishments, Michael is an avid trekker and passionate wildlife photographer. He is married to Sunitha and they have two children, Deepak and Riya. I welcome sir on to you. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with the campus. First time I'm coming here, but I never knew that it's such a big campus, and I'm sure I'll get a tour of the campus after this session is over. Yeah, so
We can take a seat. Thank you all for being here today. This is the second session of InsightsXchange. One of the reasons we started this is the idea of it is that we bring industry leaders, extract insights from them, insights that could potentially spark ideas, inspire new solutions, and potentially lead to meaningful collaborations for the people in this room. When you think of sustainability, sustainable tourism and hospitality, CJ Earth is definitely one of the groups that would come to mind in India. And you have set various benchmarks in the industry and been recognized globally for it as well. I would like to start with sort of this distinction. I've heard these terms used interchangeably, whether it's sustainable tourism, green tourism, ecotourism, and even responsible tourism. But why responsible tourism is the sort of classification you've chosen for CGHR?
yeah, I think when you say sustainability, I think sustainability is a very vague word because it's not really defined. So in this particular world of tourism, there is an association which try to define what is tourism in the sense of which is recognizing environment, which is recognizing local community, and which is recognizing the local ethos. So in that definition, responsible tourism is, you can be sustainable, but you should be. But are you responsible? Is the question that is being asked. So responsibility is that you are taking very proactive decisions, not reactive. Sustainability is okay. You can be sustainable without doing much, but to be responsible, you have to be proactive. You can't be waiting for things to happen. You have to make things happen. For example, responsibility in the sense that in CGH, one of our values is that we have, along with usually most of the companies will say that the customer is the king. So we said that customer is the king along with the local community, along with the environment. So all of them are as important as each other. You can't say that, okay, for the sake of the customer, let's forget the environment or forget the local community. So that is where responsibility becomes. So we give equal respect to the local community, to the environment, and the persons who come to a responsible tourism. See, it's not only the organization which is responsible, the traveler also has to be responsible. Today, that is the way we travelers also try to become. Okay, I'm sure when you travel on a Singapore Airlines flight, you get a carbon, you you get a carbon credit, and they say that because you travel, you have earned so much. And a lot of people are now seeing that how is that travel affecting the environment? How is it affecting the local community? So it's very important that the responsibility is not only for the organization, but there is a responsibility for the traveler. And the traveler, his responsibility is to choose responsible organizations.
You know, what's really fascinating is these values that you speak of has sort of been embedded into CGH way back, I believe, from the Bangaram project in 1988. I believe some government regulations were also a reason for why those values were sort of set forth. But could you take us back to those?
Yeah, so I think really just to to put it in context, I would say is that our organization CGH, earlier it was called Casino Hotel. It started as a single hotel, and then slowly my father built a second hotel. But the big paradigm shift happened when in '88. It's a long time back, I think more than 40 years, when we had the opportunity to go to Lakshadweep. So we were, the government of India, I'm sure the older generation would have heard of when Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had gone to Bangaram for his famous holiday, which was, a lot of press had covered it. And during that holiday, after the holiday, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi decided that why not open up Lakshadweep to the international traveler. So when he opened it up, he invited a lot of players. I think the big boys of the travel, the tourism industry like the Oberois, the Taj, and international chains also were invited. Along with that, at that time we were just a single one-unit hotel, casino hotel, and my brother had gone to Bangaram by the invitation of the government. So in the government, my brother had given a proposal to the government along with everybody else. So the then administrator asked everybody, so what are you planning to do with Bangaram after everybody has seen the property? They said that we need to go back and we'll have to put a detailed eco business study, find a lot of things. They said it'll take about 6 months to give you a proposal. My brother said, no, within 3 months we'll have the property up and running. Keep it very minimalistic. So the government was really, that was the catchword, it was minimalistic. Where we said that less is more. So in that context, our organization's values developed because of that particular minimalistic approach. Where in '88 when we started, we had no air conditioning in our rooms, we had no hot water, there's no newspaper, no television, no. I'm sure today you can't think of living without your Wi-Fi also. So there was no Wi-Fi, so nothing was there, but the island was there. The sheer beauty of the island, that is the only thing we have to offer. But the people who came and stayed with us, it was not, no ordinary people came, because people from all over the world came. We had big names from Hollywood, big names from the business world, a lot of big names. And for them to come and stay there and say, when they're leaving, to tell us that please don't change anything, it meant a lot, because they were saying that this is what we want, and that made us, that realization came that this is the new way how tourism is going to be. And you should remember that this happened '88.
Yeah.
So long time before, people are talking about responsible tourism, talking about sustainability and all those things. So '88, we were like, our whole value system got developed because of our experience in Bangaram. And for example, the staff, how we did the staffing. So the government had made a rule saying that at least 80% of the staff in the hotel should be from the local community. So these people have never seen a hotel, they've not seen the outside world. And imagine 80% of your staff is going to run your hotel without no experience of what a hotel is, or what maybe a resort is, or what is a hospitality is. So we had a few staff from our mainland who came and helped them to do the basic functions. But what was most important is it all came from the heart. Their warmth, their hospitality, everything was, so that was very, what actually made the people who came to, the guests who were coming to Lakshadweep or to our hotel, recognize the warmth of the guests. I think that was more important, and that's why we coined the term experiential hotels, where it is not about the built space, but rather the experience. That is more important. So we didn't give much importance to how expensive your flooring is, or how expensive is your chandelier is, or all those things became immaterial. It is more, what was most important was what is how is the guest going to experience the local community, and most important, how is he going to experience the I'm not too sure if anybody has anybody gone to Lakshadweep. Please raise your hand. So it's an island where you should go, because the sheer beauty, I've never seen such a beautiful place, and the sheer beauty, it overwhelmed everything else. So you forget about having your television, or you forget about having your Wi-Fi, or you forget about having your air conditioning. These things became immaterial. So the experience of staying in such a location became the most important criteria, and everybody who came there, like we had Richard Gere, for example, one of the big names in Hollywood. He was our guest for 2 weeks, and the one thing he said is, when I come back, if I ever come back again, I don't want you to change anything. Keep it as it is. And that gave us the confidence that the people who have top money are willing to live like this. So they were not at all looking for, because if it is for luxury, they could have stayed anywhere in the world. But here they are talking about experiencing the raw environment, the local community. All those things are more important than sheer luxury. And that principle, we came to the mainland, and we started Spice Village, and all the other properties followed.
In fact, any of the hotels you go to, you can really see that those three aspects, those three core values that was there in Bangaram is there throughout in all your hotels. In fact, with one of your recent developments of Sijajat Saha, I feel like that also sort of brings together exclusivity, privacy, luxury, but also a sense of community and togetherness. How do you see this intangible value of community shaping hospitality experiences, especially today?
Yeah, for example, I again go back to the Bangaram days. So when people came to Bangaram, it became a very close-knit family. So there was no question of having separate tables for dining. Everybody would sit together, and it was like a family. It was more about everybody was connected, and there was no question of having separate. You knew every guest. So I think that was the same philosophy which is actually guiding us in the new venture which we've just started called Saha. After COVID, we realized that a lot of people were wanting to go for holidays where it was more intimate, where it was about it's not about largeness, but about small, intimate holidays where you had 4-5 rooms and a family or friends together come and taking a house. Maybe it's got a large bungalow. And today in Kerala, I think a couple of days back, Kerala government has also started a new concept that they want to use unused houses for tourism. Okay. So a lot of people were coming to us and saying that we have this beautiful bungalow in Munnar or in Kodaikanal or in Ooty, somewhere, some of the more better hill stations, or maybe some beachside, and all of them said that these assets are not being used. Can you see any potential? And we took a couple of them. One in Munnar, we tied up with the Harrison's Malayalam company. Then somebody had a property in Kodaikanal and one in Ooty. But what we found is that it was curating an experience which was very intimate. And Saha is a Sanskrit word which means intimate holidays. Okay. Intimate, basically intimate.
Right. It's very interesting. This sustainability, especially today, I don't think it's no longer a niche. Like any hotel you go to, high end or budget, you will see at least those cards that say, please reuse your towels, reuse the sheets, whatever. So it's sort of a baseline, mark.
So that's what you call as greenwashing.
Right.
Basically, greenwashing. Everybody is today. You're talking about using, So, for example, if you go to any hotel today, you won't find a plastic bottle or a PET bottle. Everybody is using a
glass.
Yes, but today we need to have you need to have a governance system where you have to really be. How are you doing it, and you need to quantify these things very much more. It's not about just for the sake of the traveler, you put a board and say, okay, sustainable, or you're using like you said, reuse the towel, reuse the bed linen, all those things.
100%, I completely agree with you. It is greenwashing, but at the same time, I feel like it sort of brings all these travelers into more of a conscious sort of a situation. They're making at least the traveler a little more conscious, and I feel like this is sort of the evolution that the consumers are sort of facing. That they're also starting to care. Do you see any other sort of like shifts in the hospitality industry today?
Yeah, I think COVID, during the pandemic, there was a huge shift which has happened in the hospitality industry. I think the way people travel, the reason they travel, and how you plan your holiday. Earlier, holiday was a luxury. People travel once a year, and especially Indian families, maybe it was going to your relative's house. You never thought of going to a hotel. I'm talking about ordinary middle class families. They said, okay, let's go for a holiday, and they'll try and see, if I'm going to Delhi, try and figure out if you have a relation there, and then you get a accommodation. But today it's not like that. Today I think that especially like you who are working in the IT sector, all of them they wanted to. The pandemic made them realize that I think you have only one life. And if I don't spend whatever money I earn, if I don't spend it, so I think that has kind of completely the human, the psyche of the travelers changed completely. So today, what we find is that holidays are decided in a jiffy. So I see an Instagram post of a nice hotel, and then I see the number, and I just press the number and say, "Is there rooms available next weekend?" It's as fast as that people are taking decisions compared to when earlier summer vacations, the school holidays. Today we have people traveling like it's maybe I may not thought of a holiday, but I see a good like a good social media post, and I decided, okay, let me go. So the whole way people travel, I think, is after COVID has changed, and that's why although COVID was very devastating effect on the tourism sector. But what has happened after COVID is that it's like really the hospitality industry is like from the ashes it rose up like the phoenix.
Yes. Along with this, along with that sort of shift, even experiential tourism, I feel like, is really sort of coming up. Sort of these hyper-local experiences. Can you actually scale such an experience though, even in terms of Saha? If it's a experiential or a curated sort of a term, how does scalability work for that? Also with sustainability, like does scalability and sustainability sort of work together?
Yeah, I think sustainability, see a lot of practices which definitely it is scalable, and like if you have an SOP for all these practices, definitely it is scalable. And I think the most important thing about all this is you need to keep measuring it. For example, if you are saying that you're not using a PET bottle, and you need to measure, okay, how many glass bottles have been using, and so now you have that under the new, I think at least the public sector or the larger companies need to in their balance sheets, I think ESG.
Right, of course.
You need to publish all these things. So where you have to be part of how your environment, social governance is becoming very important. So definitely it doesn't matter big or small.
Right.
Sustainability can be scaled up.
Right.
Definitely.
Sure. Like you said, measuring it, I feel like, is most important, and that comes to sort of data collection, one of my favorite topics. But I'd like to first move into sort of this new wave of hospitality brands that sort of focus on tech-driven efficiency, affordable luxury, and even communal spaces. I talked about hotels like Citizen M Zoku on a global level, but even brands like Tribo's Hostel, they work on this sort of affordable luxury, but also very much focused on tech-driven sort of an efficiency. Do you see that shift as a normal evolution, or that is just a new sort of a phase?
No, I think today the biggest challenge the hospitality industry is facing is, I think, basically to keep the cost down. And the biggest cost going to have is your manpower cost. So definitely now you need to have technology and AI to replace a lot of spaces where humans are required. And sometimes I think it's good because some of the jobs which are being done is so repetitive and so boring. I think the new generation may not like to do those kind of jobs. So it will be, I think, the lot of these, for example, especially in reservations, it's a lot of things are being taken over by AI and technology.
I was just waiting for you to say AI. You see so many AI services coming out, especially in hospitality. Like you have these AI concierge services, you have dynamic pricing, all these aspects. My question is that hospitality is an industry that very much is rooted on sort of physical spaces and human interactions. So is tech only for efficiency in hospitality, or do you think it can play a deeper role? Because I've also seen these concepts of smart rooms where without any sort of interaction, you book that room, you use it, and then you check out, and you saw nobody during that time.
So today, I think people travel for a lot of reasons. See, there is an 180 degrees opposite of what you are saying. That people, you're just connecting. You're not at all connecting with the human aspect. For example, we have a lot of in our hotels. We have a lot of Europeans coming from October to March. And the only reason I find that most of the time they travel because in Europe there's nobody to talk to. They are so lonely, but when they come to India, our staff and Indians, at least when they come to Kerala, they find people, they communicate. When they are back home, so we had, for example, a guest in one of our resorts in Marari Beach. Her name is Daphne. She must be 85, almost 90 years old, but she's now come almost 40 times. And so we always wonder why is she coming back to the same place 40 times. The only reason I asked her once, why do you come back? He said, because I have friends here. I can talk to people. So there is the 180 degrees. So another reason is, okay, you're traveling on business, or you're traveling, maybe, yes, youngsters, maybe you don't want, today the new generation may not want to connect as much as the older generation. But today, I think the biggest problem the world is facing is loneliness.
Yeah, I agree.
So loneliness, and especially in the European countries, the only reason a lot of times they say they come to Kerala is because, it's not because, see, they say Kerala is God's own country. But I'm sure I like Kerala. If you go to New Zealand, also says it's God's own country. Malaysia says God's own country. Every country is beautiful. So it's not for the beauty of the natural beauty, but it is about the interaction which they get with the local community. And they see that Kerala population is, even if between north and south, a lot of times travelers tell that we feel very comfortable in Kerala. So what is the reason why people are coming to Kerala? Is not because Kerala is the ultimate land where it's the most beautiful land, but it is the people which make Kerala beautiful.
Right. So it has to be sort of a mix also, depending on what kind of travel you're doing. CGH, I feel like, is mostly very much leisure sort of based. So I'm guessing you would have less tech adoption, or do you have some sort of vision in place for that?
No, see, we always believe that we want to be the latest in technology, along with the human element also. Both have to be playing an important role. We can't say that you can't separate it. So a lot of times the very reason why guests coming to our property is I wouldn't say it's just to technology or about the beauty of the destination, but it is about the human connection.
Makes sense. No, but beyond hotels and standalone resorts, I think there's also a rise of third-party service providers in this industry, whether it's outsourced housekeeping or even property management solutions. So, what do you think about the shift of third-party service providers? And is there a particular gap that these service providers could be filling right now?
So, in fact, last week I had gone to Gujarat, to Bhuj, and they had a camp. They had tented accommodation. It was called the Tented City, where actually the real people who were running it is only about 10 staff. But everything, for example, housekeeping is outsourced to another company. The food and beverage is outsourced to somebody. So everything is brought together, and it's 450 rooms. It's a huge property, but the actual people working in that company is only 10 staff. So there is a, so it depends, but on the other hand,
Can I interrupt for a moment? Somebody's parked a car downstairs. Okay, can you get
Right. It's car number KL06J8586. KL06J8586. Is there anybody's car here? Are you sure? Yeah.
Sorry.
So so there is a lot of potential
Yeah,
for
yeah,
third-party
definitely.
service providers here.
no, but I was telling you, but at the same time, some of the more intimate hotels is also, it has to be a closed ecosystem. Like if you go to a Saha property, people would like to be, it's a very community driven, it can't be it has to be very personal. The connections between the staff, everything is connected.
Especially when you include local communities into your hotels. Have you faced any challenges with bringing them in and making them, also practice certain sustainable practices, methods?
We have no difficulty. In fact, one of the, I would say, what I would say is the difference between us and any other, I'm sure today if you go to any restaurant in Cochin, unless you know Hindi, you can't order us anything. You have to speak in Hindi or Assamese or Bengali.
We're definitely getting there.
But today we have taken a deliberate decision how can we keep local community as far as possible. I know it's very difficult today to get Malayalis to work, but we are trying our best to see how long we can have more Malayalis in our organization. Because, and for example, we have properties not only in Kerala, we have in Tamil Nadu, we have in and the Andamans, we have in Karnataka, and we are hopefully going to start soon in West Bengal also. But it doesn't mean that we are going to export Malayalis from there to Tamil Nadu or to Karnataka. In Tamil Nadu, we said that 90% or 95% of our staff should be from the local community. It has to be Tamils. In Karnataka, Kannadigas. In Andamans, the major population is Bengalis. So we try and see that how the local, because the ethos of the locality is coming through the local community. Somebody coming from Bengal may not be able to give the ethos of Kerala.
That makes sense, yes. One of the biggest challenges I find that companies are hesitant to adopt sustainability would be the upfront initial cost. What do you say to a company that's hesitant because of that?
No, I don't think sustainability is about the cost. It's about your belief system.
Okay.
Suppose if I'm convinced that, say today when we started responsible or sustainable, whatever efforts we have done in our hotels, way back in '88, nobody was giving any value to it. There was no value, but it is it is our own, maybe a cultural upbringing that my father told us, being from the farming sector, that environment is important, local community is important. So there was no question of a cost to it. We had to spend it. We had to ensure that we don't spoil the environment, or we have a connection with the local community. So we cannot say it's not a business decision. But on the other hand, now we have realized that definitely it pays. If you have these things, it's going to repay you much faster than before.
Right, because I think it was in the 2010s, I think that sustainability became more mainstream. And ITC had invested a huge amount of money sort of to get there.
No, but it's not about the immediate returns. But I think today what we find about the returns we see is that in our marketing effort. So when we peg ourselves in that particular world, people are coming because we are socially responsible, because we are sustainable, because of our environment. So in fact, a lot of those when we started Bangaram, it was like we were able to, and we started our properties in Kerala and in India, to going to Delhi, going to London, going to Berlin for the WTM and the ITBs and for the travel marts. As soon as they saw Bangaram, we are the owners of the brand Bangaram, people said, please come and sit. Please, they gave us, their offices were open, they're welcoming us to come to their offices. The only reason is because they knew that Bangaram, it was a totally path-breaking effort at that time. So, and basically path-breaking in the sense about all these things, environment, sustainability and all that.
It makes sense, and like you guys had started your journey already on that path also. Apart from, I believe you're already in wellness tourism, experiential tourism as well. Is there a new, sort of a trend that's coming up?
So again, I need to just tell you a story how we got into wellness tourism. So Colombo, I'm sure everybody knows where Colombo is. The Colombo royal family, they had two palaces, and the family was finding it extremely difficult to maintain these palaces. So they were approaching a lot of hotel groups saying that can you do something, can you take it over and see whether it can be used for tourism purposes. So they came to us and they said that this palace is more than 100 years old, but and can you fit it into your hotels, they asked. And they said only two requests we had. They said it's not conditions, it's two requests we had. He said never in the history of this palace people have used their footwear entering into the palace. And never in the history of this palace has anybody eaten meat or drank wine or liquor. So people couldn't imagine that tourism without liquor and tourism without non-vegetarian food. So that really made us started thinking: is there a way we can accommodate this family's request? And when we said, why not make it a palace for Ayurveda?
Okay.
So in the initial, the first 2 years was a struggle. We had less than 10% occupancy. But once but we said that when we did Ayurveda, it was not just like, today every hotel you go has got a spa or at least Ayurvedic massage. But when we started the Kalari Kovilagam, it's called the Kalari Kovilagam, we said that it is going to be authentic. There's no compromise. The discipline of Ayurveda will be, the guest has to go through the discipline of the Ayurveda. We said minimum stays 2 weeks. There's going to be only the food prescribed by the doctor, and it is going to be depending on your body type. And we included that people are not going to wear your footwear while you're inside the property. So all these things. But after a couple of years, today I think people are willing to come. We have a waiting list to come and stay there, and they are paying almost for a week stay. It's almost 6 or 7 lakhs. So it's about the authenticity of the experience, which is really very important.
Yeah. And you have Prakriti Shakti also doing extremely well. What about Coho Earth? Does that still come under CGH? And
yeah, it's part of the CGH brand, but Coho is any hotel which is below 10 rooms. We branded under this Coho Earth. As I said, Saha. No, Coho Earth is. I'm sorry, I got
experience.
No, Coho Earth is not part of CGH. It is actually it's started by my son.
Yeah.
It's an adventure. It's kind of Coho means low community.
Right.
So basically, what he was trying to do is people with similar interest travel together. For example, IT. I'm sure most of you are in the IT world. So people with interest in, say, who are from the same background, and he creates a group of similar kind of interest, and they travel together. Maybe a group of doctors or group of entrepreneurs. It could be with similar interest. So he was basically trying to create a platform where somebody, for example, somebody wants to do a culinary travel for people from the IT background. He could then use his platform to be the interface for the customer and for the organizer.
I see. That's really interesting actually, since some of my friends also, she's an Instagram travel influencer, but has now started curating tours also. And I see a lot of people sort of, making this hyper-personalization this sort of a way, which has been very interesting. We talked about, CGH, some industry insights also. And there's so much coming up in terms of tech, sustainability, so there are clear gaps for startups to sort of work in this space. If you were sort of, starting fresh today, forgetting your background, which area in hospitality do you see most opportunity for new entrants to come in?
I think, hospitality may look very simple and very straightforward. So a lot of people have entered the hospitality space thinking that it's like just running your home. It's about your housekeeping, keeping the you have a bedroom to sleep, you have a kitchen to make food. But I think also it is an art, and there is a lot of how you curate it. For example, when you are pricing, it does not depend on, today it's not, it's on the soft skills which make up the property. That's very important. So somebody who curates it makes it very interesting. So I think that would, so people give value for that rather than just a straightforward, okay, I spend a lot of money, and because I spend a lot of money, I can charge that, is not anymore. So I think what for a startup or for a, so in fact last week I was in Gujarat for a conclave of Outlook, and I met a couple. I think they must have been working in the IT world from maybe Bombay or Delhi, somewhere there. But they, one fine day, they just decided that they just went and brought some land in the Himalayas and started a house. Couple of rooms they had. But today they're getting almost 15 or 20,000 rupees per night per room, and we're having good occupancy. They said they are doing far better than what they were earning from the IT world. Because, but what really is giving them value is not because of the build space, but rather it's their time and how they're curating the holiday. That the skill in doing that. So I think it's about your skill or your passion for that, which will, I'm sure, anybody, it's an easy entrant, but at the same time, it has to be driven by passion. If you're not passionate about it, then I think it's not possible. So for example, I'll give you another thing. Today the government says that investment in tourism is the easiest investment for the government, because ₹1 million invested in tourism creates the largest number of jobs, because the least skilled labor is required in the tourism sector. You don't require a 10th pass is maybe sufficient. But when a 10th pass is, you can be trained. Whereas in IT, it is, you have to be much more skilled and trained. So for India, I think it's where you have such a large young population, and maybe I think I remember one of the interviews of I don't know who it is. Somebody in the IT world said that today our universities are not producing good enough students for the. I think it is. I can't remember who said that, but it was so. But in tourism or in hospitality, I think the bulk of India's workforce can be accommodated.
That's true. It's very interesting. I'm thinking of one more thing before I close the session. As you go up sort of the luxury ladder, privacy, I feel like, is also one of the most key aspects of what you get. But that's also changing. Like clearly with CGH also, you are at a position where you do get luxury, but also get the senses of community. Is that changing on a global level also? Are these ultra luxury brands also trying to sort of bring in communal feelings?
Yeah, I think that definitely there is a small superlative luxury kind of places where people only will travel. Like for example, the Aman Group. So you're an Aman rookie, they call it, where you just keep traveling only to an Aman property.
Right.
So there's a segment like that. But I think the bulk of the people, people who can afford it, prefer to come to what you call as an eco-luxury, where there is a responsible kind of luxury. It should not, today I think when you have such disparities, you don't want to be in isolation, an island of luxury.
Yeah, makes sense. We could take some questions from the audience, but just before that, as somebody who has sort of built a legacy in hospitality, I'm sure you've traveled widely and experienced some of the best hospitality, incredible service from different parts of the world. What was the best hospitality experience you've had that has really stayed with you?
So in fact, I think the last couple of years I've been traveling quite a bit. I've traveled, I think, to most of the continents. I've gone to, like for last September, just 24th October, I was in Colombia. And just before COVID, I was in Costa Rica. But what is actually really in my mind, which comes to my mind, is not any of these countries, but Ethiopia.
Yeah.
I went. So whenever people think of Ethiopia, people say it's poverty, it's famine. But when I went to Ethiopia, it was the the hotels where I stayed was, I would say, maybe here you wouldn't even call it a lodge because it was so basic. We went to the remotest part of Ethiopia. But what I really was what really stuck to me, gave me that experience of wanting to go back is that the people, the 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 people on the road, everybody, you never felt threatened at all. So usually, generally, when you go to Africa, you go to Nairobi, or go to any of the African countries, you are on your guard. You cannot think of walking on the streets of one of these, for example, in South Africa or any of these countries. You know that something would happen to you. But I'm not exaggerating. In Addis Ababa, we reached the hotel, and that particular hotel was a very small hotel, not a very luxury hotel. So we said we'd like to have dinner. The owner of the hotel said, "Sorry, we don't have dinner. You have to walk about 2 or 3 kilometers. You go to that particular place." So imagine walking in Africa for 3 kilometers. Myself, my wife, my daughter, and a friend. 4 of us at 8 o'clock in the night. We walked to this restaurant. Total strangers all around us, and then we have a good dinner. And we walk back around 10:30. We walk back to 2 kilometers, and absolutely safe. And that too, and today when you think of Ethiopia or Sudan, any of those countries in that part of Africa, what comes to our mind is, are you crazy to go there?
Yeah. It sounds like a beautiful experience.
Yeah,
It was.
totally.
And from the start, you were saying even in your hotels, people sort of come for that people aspect.
Yeah, I
itself.
think that. So the most important, I think the ultimately hospitality is not about. Okay, I'm saying it's. I wouldn't discount it. You need the build space. You need the luxury. Everything is important, but what will make you better is how good the softer skill, the service, the softer skills are. The human aspect is. I think that's what make hospitality.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. If you guys have any questions, we can take that now.
No, I would just add on to the experience what we told about Africa. So I had a project in Talatona, which is Luanda, and I was staying in the hotel. So we are supposed to be the 5th floor of the hotel. So we are into interior business. So I was there for like a few days. So I wanted to get my people to do the job, and so obviously from the airport to the hotel, you are always with the security and all that. So evening 5 o'clock, I'm little into fitness, so I wanted to go for an evening walk. So I told that, I'm just going around. So they said that, are you sure you want to go alone? I said, I'm just going around. Talatona, that's a central part of, it's a central part of the city, and, that's where all the ministers and all stay. So I said, I'm going to just go around the hotel. It's like a 500 or 400 track, and then I'll take 2 rounds and I just come back, I just went off the hotel. 200 minutes after, I was dropped on my gunpoint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
This guy came
something else.
around with a gun. He just came to me. I had hardly $80 with me. I was wearing a hoodie, so he didn't see my chain. And then he checked everywhere, and then I had $80, and then he robbed it.
That's
So I mean,
unfortunate.
yeah. So it's very common.
No, I'll tell you a similar experience I had. It was not a mugging or anything.
Yeah.
So I was in Brazil.
Ah.
We had gone to Rio, to Sao Paulo, and we landed at the airport. I forgot to change my currency because the hotels were not taking the local currency. So once I reached the hotels, they said we don't change the dollars to their local currency. So they said there's a bank about maybe half a kilometer away. You can go change that. So I said okay. I decided I'll walk. I was wearing my watch and looking. So he said, sir, if I were you, I wouldn't walk like that.
Okay.
You please don't tuck in your shirt. Walk like an ordinary person. Remove your watch, remove your chain, remove whatever you have. Then you walk. You will come back
In Rio.
safely.
In Rio.
Rio. No, Sao Paulo.
No problem.
I think it depends on where you end up staying also. If the people there are great, then that's
No,
nice.
so I mean, it's so current. When I got on the airport and I was going to the hotel, and Talatona Convention Center is a 5-star property. So I'm supposed to do that. So I mean, I would imagine this happening right from the airport to the hotel. I saw every store having a security guard with a AK-47. Every person is having an AK. Police is having an AK-47. The military is having an AK-47. The security guard is having an AK-47. Every store is having a guard. I was wondering what's happening here. And then, that's when I understood that, that there's a problem. We ended up not taking the project. Thank you.
This people aspect, like it's super true. Like I remember this time I went to Kodaikanal. We were in some part of the hill and there's this small hut. But because of the people there, like it was so easy to just sort of be there, live there. It didn't affect.
I think it makes the difference. Ultimately, what you remember about a holiday, your experiences, how the people that you interacted with.
100%. Yeah. If you have any other questions, we can.
I have a question. So I'm part of the startup. We're an auto home where we do smart home and hospitality solutions. So would you consider for your property, some kind of hospitality automation solutions, or is that something not?
No, I think today automation and I told you, AI.
Sure.
It really is definitely taking over a lot of things in the hospitality, especially today in the marketing and in your reservation systems. I'm sure for example, in some of so far not come to India so much, but maybe if you go to a lot of these European countries where where staff is very difficult it's very expensive. It's like I remember going to Frankfurt in a hotel. There was absolutely no interaction with anybody. I went, I got the key, not a key, the key card. Went to the room. After that, I've not spoken to any staff member. Everything is like it's touch. Whatever you want is through the system. So automation is definitely taking over a lot of aspects, but in the leisure, and I think what I said about is there is a huge part which the human, there's a lot of value for the human interaction.
Sure. Yeah, one thing, so part of our system, what we have is somebody entering, so welcoming them, and you basically give the ambience of the light is welcoming you, the voice is welcoming you, the curtain gets open. So basically, kind of a experience where the hotel itself is welcoming you, the guest.
See, so there are different kinds of hotels. Today, you might be traveling on business or on work.
Sure.
Where you want minimal interaction. You come for a purpose. You want the room. You want, and maybe you're not looking. But what is the reason for why you're traveling? So, in our line of business, people are traveling. It's more for the cultural interaction. They want to meet people. They want to experience the local ethos. So there are different aspects. I think today, a lot of these business hotels are being, to a very high degree, automation has come in, artificial intelligence has come in, but in our particular, it's much slower because that is the reason why they're coming is for the human interaction.
I've also had a similar experience, a hotel where no interaction. I got the key card from a machine, I went to my room and I go down for a meal, and the meals are also sort of like, you pick, you pay, you eat. The only place where there was some sort of a communal aspect is the bar, but the benefit was that everybody was craving some form of connection. So
Everybody was talking.
Yeah, everybody was talking, that's great. Yes, Bharat.
So I was sort of thinking purely from a business standpoint. So when if the sort of the center point of your ethic as a business is to deliver a very intimate, very unique type of experience, how do you really see that? Sort of also add to that to why I'm asking that. Now, if you're a McDonald's, you're the opposite of intimate, correct? It's cookie cutter. So as a business owner, when you're running that business, and also you're expanding, and you are in Karnataka, and you're in Tamil Nadu, you're in West Bengal, all the way out there, how do you figure out the problems happening? How do you address that as a business owner? How can you be involved if it is that hyper local, individual driven?
So I think to answer your question, I would say is that we need to actually empower people. The manager who's, for example, we are starting a property in West Bengal. I would say that the person who's going to run that particular property, we give him the mandate to understand our value system. So only in that sense because here we are not, like you said, it's not a cookie cutter model. Like if it was a McDonald's, or even, for example, any of the Lemon Tree or any of the big chains in India, it's very easy to create SOPs, and it's easily, you have reporting systems. But what we believe is that each and every general manager in our property has to understand the philosophy of a property. And so for him, decision taking becomes very easy when he understands that. So it flows from the philosophy, from the value system.
So do you, so that is something that you have sort of, perfected over time? Because I really love, I would love to do that. Except, if I'm not seeing them out of mind, out of sight, out of mind type of thing, how do you know when something's going wrong? I mean, when it's great, it's great. How do you know when
we have learned something from the Communist Party. How do you create committees? Or how do you brainwash you into believing that what they do is correct? So we have something called as CJH cells. Like the Communist Party has got cells. They have a cell what they do in these cells is they keep talking about what. So similarly, what we encourage, we have cells in all our properties where and the cells are not. It's not run by the manager. The lowest level, they become part of the cell, and we try and put in these ideas to them, and where each of these members start. So when they join the CJH, they don't at all. The ethos or the value system is not at all appealing to them. But over a period of time, we find that through the CJH cells, they start accepting in their personal lives also. They become what we call CJHized. That means they start thinking in those terms. And slowly, over a period of time, most of our managers have come up from the ranks. For example, we had a manager who was I would say a waiter, and he retired as a general manager for so many years. But then, eventually, he's more philosophically more connected to the organization than I would say than we do, because he's been living his entire life in the organization. So it is just a process we learned that obviously everybody who comes to us do not accept the ideology or the philosophy, but we need to have an effort to convert them in a it's not like switching on and off. See, sometimes when you go to a hotel, you have parroting. Like a parrot, you are taught how to say something, but the people see through that. It has to come from from the heart. It has to come. For example, I'll give you an example. So, in most of our properties, we don't have televisions. So, one of the boys was taking the guests to the rooms. So the guest asked the boy, "Where do you think? So why is your hotels? Why do you not keep TV in the hotels, in your rooms? I think every hotel, I'm paying fabulous tariffs. I'm expecting that you keep there should have been a TV in your room." So the boy very innocently answers that guest. I also was wondering why. So basically, we have to really, it is about the human aspect which we try to. But to answer your question, we may not grow that fast because we don't want to be a cookie cutter model.
Correct.
We say that every property is different from the other. For example, if you are in one of the big chains, it doesn't matter whether you're in New York or in Cochin. For example, in Holiday Inn Hotel in Bypass or in New York City, once you're inside, it's identical. But for us, we say that if they go to any of our properties, they must be able to feel the difference. Like somebody is in Spice Village, we define it as a tribal village in a spice garden. As against Vishalam in Tamil Nadu it's a heritage, it's a Chettiar property. So everything, that localness has to be coming into every aspect of, right from the build space to the whole experience. So I'm sure because of that, others we would have been growing much faster. our growth may not be that fast, but the only way for us to grow is using how do we get our people to understand the philosophy, and then they need to take it forward.
I do have a question on growth, but I will be respectful of others and your time also. So I would love to come back to that. If you do have a bit at the end, I want to ask you a question about growth also.
Sure, I think after the session you could maybe catch him.
Yeah.
In fact, everything we spoke about today, if you visited a CGH property, or if you have the opportunity to visit one, you'll really, everything we spoke about, you can really see it and feel it once you sort of enter the space. And I hope you all do get that opportunity. Any last questions? Yes, please.
Please sit.
One question. If I
Please sit. It's
if I
very
compare
important.
AMA trials and CGH, what can I differentiate? What would be the differentiation between AMA trials?
Amateur is a Taj homestay.
No, yeah, definitely. Why the values and what you give and what they offer? To me, it felt more or less the same. If I compare the Lockhart and if I compare, let's say one of the various favorite clubs in Mumbai.
So the only, I'm sure as a guest, maybe you may not experience the difference so much, but we try to personalize to a certain extent that there's a sense of belonging to the where the guest feels that it's their own house. That's what. So I'm sure if you have stayed in Amma, I've not stayed in Amma yet. It's like it's an extension of the hotels. But we try to our whole mandate to the say Lokat Bungalow is that it is like the house which it was. It was a team manager's bungalow, and how the lady of the house used to run it, it should be like that. We don't want it to make it into a hotel. So we are trying to reverse engineer everything that a hotelier would do it, and how the lady of the house would run the house.
We can take your question, Elisa.
Hello, thank you. So I think listening to your journey, I think CGH Earth has always been ahead of the curve, be it with sustainability, be it with capitalizing what Kerala has to offer, be it the landscape, its position as an Ayurveda hub, etc. So when it comes to the local experience, when it comes to indigenous living, what do you think are opportunities in Kerala or in India that are untapped and that you think are exciting to venture out into when it comes to indigenous living and local experiences?
So I think although Kerala looks saturated with a lot of tourism projects and I think it's about creating that individual madness in the property. Something about it's like a movie. There has to be some element which is different from the other. If you try to be a copycat, so what's the unfortunate part in Kerala is that somebody is successful, everybody copies that. So I think to be an antithesis to a copycat, try to be the opposite. Try and be to be an original idea. And I've seen so many homestays, so many small properties which are really individual which has got the differentiation is very strong. You are successful. So I don't know. I can't answer you that. What is that? But I'm sure as a person, you venturing into a tourism venture, it is about creating the originality. And like movies, the success of a movie depends on the originality. If you try to become a formula, there's a formula for movies, there's a formula for tourism. After some time, I don't think that works. So you need to create that. The differentiation has to be very strongly. It is part of the success of the venture would be on how you can differentiate your property. I'm sure you heard about the blue ocean strategy, where you have to be as there is no competition. You have to be as different as possible.
Right. Okay. So this was a very insightful session. Thank you for coming down here and talking to us. I'm sure a lot of people here would have gotten some forms of clicks with what they're working on right now also. As part of KMA Young Minds, I'd like to give you a small memento. Just 1 second.
But I really enjoyed, although initially today morning I told Nivedita that can you excuse me because I was just looking at the travel time from Wellington Island to come here. So tomorrow I'm traveling and I had 1 hour 1.5 hours to come here. I said, can you somehow postpone it? But I today I would have regretted if I didn't come.
I'm glad. They're all glad you came actually. You could make it.
And nice talking to you. And I'm sure I never knew that such a facility existed so far.
Yeah, I'm sure you should definitely get on the tour. You're gonna see a lot more.
And it looks very exciting. A lot of energy in this room.
Here you go from. And Ujjwal, okay, so thank you all for coming. We'll probably just close the session here. We have these monthly initiatives going to be happening every month here in this room. So keep following up with what's happening in KCM and you'll find out. All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you.